Well, hello, and welcome to the Coaching Business Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Kat Connect. And every podcast session, I was going to say every week, it's not every week, but every time I broadcast a show, my intention is to help coaches who want to have a successful business. And that's what I hope to do on the show today to help you coaches out there who'd like to have a successful business. And success meaning that you're making money and you're having fun, you're doing the work you're meant to do here on the planet, you're enjoying it, you're spreading the love, and all that good stuff. Now, this is our fall series. I really enjoy when I kind of get a hit about us more than one show so that I can stretch it out, things that I want to talk about and I want to explain and play with you. This is the series on harvesting. It's fall. Well, not officially fall, but it's fall in my mind, back to school time, fall. It's definitely harvest time. So, one thing that comes to my mind when I think of harvesting is back years ago when I was in the fruit business. My kids were little, and my husband, my first husband at the time, and I really were exploring how to make money at the fruit business. So, this is one reason this is always so applicable to me. I have written about it in my book, Evolve Your Coaching Business. In my training courses, I use the fruit business to make a comparison with coaching business because there were so many things that were the same, even though it's a completely different kind of business. So, my memory, the little story I'm going to tell here, and then I will connect it to the coaching business, is when we first got started, we had to invest a good bit of money, first of all, in buying the land for the fruit business. That was one thing. We bought the land, we had a couple of partners. It was a little bit scary, but they had my husband and his partners had a little side gig. They trimmed trees, they did some other things. So it felt not as risky. But then came the day when my husband told me, well, we're going to have to invest, and this is, I don't remember the amount, but buckets of money into planting a whole new orchard. And one of the things about fruit trees, and especially apple trees, is that, and this one in particular, he said it's going to take 5 to 10 years before these trees are fully being able to be harvested and making money. Up to 5 to 10 years. So I'm thinking, my kids are like 2 and 5 at the time, maybe even a little younger. And we needed to pay our mortgage and, buy food and kids need new shoes and all those things. And I freaked out a little bit to tell you the truth. And this is another way I think this compares to the coaching business because it can be really easy to freak out about things because there is a need of a long-term vision and taking steps before the harvest time. So that's what I'm going to talk about first. So I did this in the fruit business and I had a very positive experience because even though times were lean for a few years, I have a very specific memory. I actually remember the moment that my husband came home from work and handed me a check. I think it was for $5,000. And this was back, let's say, in 1986 or 87, something like that. $5,000. It was a bucket load of money to me at the time. And more than the money, though, was the evidence that I saw. Oh, this is going to work out. It's going to work out. We've put the time and money. And the thing that was so cool was we hadn't just planted the one orchard, we planted a lot of orchards by then. We planted the orchards. And so now the things were coming to fruition. This harvest time, we were getting the money back from all the time and money we had invested. It was starting to come back. And what I want to layer in here is that this fruit business is still operating. It's still to this day bringing in a good amount. It's still supporting a variety of families with a good income. So I learned that it's what would I say? It can be very useful. Useful isn't really the word, but you know what I mean, to invest in something you really want to do. So at this time, that was something that we really wanted to do, this fruit business. And I know that many of you listening to this podcast, having a successful coaching business is something that you really want to do. There are so many other stories about that fruit business, things that I learned that I brought over to my coaching business, but that's one that I really was thinking about today at harvest time. And here's something along the way that I learned during the time that we were growing that business. I was working for the Postal Service and I was moving up the ladder in my career, which was not quite as much fun as the coaching career, but at the time it was really something for me to actually find my way in this in the world. And when I got onto an executive team and really started to be able to use my talents to do something that had a positive impact on the people that I was working with, and it had a really positive impact on the people who I was serving. So on this executive team, the actual job that I had was to oversee this work life teams that went all over the district that I work for. These were mail carriers mostly, a lot of clerks, all kinds of people working for the Postal Service who needed support to have their work life be what they wanted it to be. And I was able to do that on that executive team. And one of the things that helped me, so I'm making a bit of a segue here. So there's the fruit business and how I learned about how you have to put time and effort in before it's time to harvest. And then there was something that I learned along the way about how to have my mind working and have the universe or spirit or whatever that concept is for you in the meantime. So while you are working on building a business and maybe it hasn't come to fruition yet, in the meantime, how you can structure how you think about what you're doing has an impact on the outcome. And it has a big impact on the experience as you are kind of waiting for the fruit to come in, as you're waiting for your ship to come in. And I learned a technique called acting as if. This is in my book. So, in the Evolve Your Coaching Business book, right in the beginning, there's a whole section on visioning. And this was something that I did, acting as if. So, my husband and I and his partners, and we acted as if that it was all going to pay off. That those fruit trees we were planting on that day, purchased, planted, nurtured all those years, we talked about it, we imagined it. It felt true to us that this was going to be a success. And because of that, we took the action needed to make it a reality. I want to just let that one land. So, acting as if is not just a feel good activity, it actually opens you up to okay, what actually has to get done in order for this to be a reality, because you're thinking and now your thinking and actions are lined up around what you actually know could be a reality, acting as if this could really happen. One of my favorite stories and an experience that lives in my heart is how I got onto that executive team. So during this time, the fruit was starting to come in. I'm going to talk more about harvest time. But during this time, I knew that one of the things I wanted to do with my career was to speak in front of groups. I wanted to work in front of a group. I had been doing some transformational workshops at the time, and I was watching the leaders, and I thought, oh, I really want to be able to do that. And I think I can, but I'm afraid. I've never done it before. I had a fear of public speaking that was pretty intense, that was keeping me from it. But I had this concept, act as if. Act as if. So I was going to a training I was on a work life team and I was going to a training and I thought, well, this would be a really perfect time because this training, it was people from all over the district. And as far as I knew, I didn't know anybody who was going to be there. So there wasn't going to be some kind of, personal fear I had about what the people in the group might think. And so I just went with this idea. Well, whatever comes up, I'm going to act as if that I'm really good at speaking in front of a room and that I'm really good or pretty good or good enough at speaking at public speaking. And sure enough, I'm at this training and I'm in a group. There was a project that we had to do in the group and present it to the whole room, everybody else who was in the training. And so I raised my hand. I said, I will do the presentation because I was acting as if I was going to be good at it. And it actually made it fun. It made it fairly easy because it was like a game. I didn't know. There weren't real high stakes in this deal, but I got to have the experience of how it works if I act as if I'm good at something and then doing it. It was not hard at all. I don't remember being afraid. I was probably a little nervous. I didn't have any thought at the time, wow, I'm wowing the crowd. I just thought, I'm actually doing it. I'm up in front of a room, I'm giving a presentation, and it's going okay. So this acting as if stuff is really working for me. So I kept that up, that acting as if over the next few months, I just played with it. I found some other opportunities to act as if in this whole genre of I really want I want to be have impact on people. I want to be part of that, either like in front of the room, leading a group. I didn't know about coaching at the time yet. I went on a vacation during this time. And when I got home, now this is back in the day before cell phones, if you can imagine, and there were answering machines. And so when you had an answering machine, if you don't remember answering machines, they would just pick up whatever messages came through while you were away. So I was on vacation for like 10 days. And when I came home, there were like 50 messages. There were so many messages that I remember making myself a cup of tea and sitting down at my dining room table to just listen and take notes and, see who I had to get back to. And after about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes of listening to messages, I'm getting kind of bored. And then the beep happens, and I hear this message from a woman I've never talked to before. I recognize her name because she's a muckety muck at the Postal Service, and I've heard of her. And she's talking to me as if she knows me. And she's telling me that there's an opportunity for me that she would like to talk about, and would I call her back right away? So by now it's already been maybe 5 days when I got that message, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just got to do this because I don't even know what this is, but there's an opportunity for me. I'm going to interrupt this story to go, here's one of the clues about harvesting. So I'm going to track this for you a little bit. So one of the clues about harvesting is you have to be ready to pick the fruit when it's ready. You can't decide when that's going to be, right? As you put your work into your coaching business, it will come to fruition and you want to be ready. And so that's what happened to me when this call came in. I called the woman right back and she called me right back. I think I left her a message. She called me right back, but within a half an hour, I'm talking to her and she's offering me a job. Now, here's another piece I want to put in about this is about manifesting. Acting as if is a manifesting exercise. So one of the other things I had done at the time was I had looked at what is it I really, really want to be doing right now. And at that time, my kids were, I think they were teenagers by this time, or they were in that mid-range age. And they were old enough for me to leave alone. I thought, well, I'd like to do some traveling. I'd like to meet some new people. And this piece about I really want to be working, and I don't remember what my exact concept of it was, but I wanted to have that bigger impact. So this woman tells me that there's this job opportunity for me. Oh, here was the other piece I'm remembering right now. I wanted to be home with my kids during the summertime. They were off of school. I wanted to do some fun things with them. She tells me there's a job that's going to include me traveling to post offices all over our district and delivering a presentation to the people working at all of the post offices. And there were maybe 700 post offices that were on the list. Delivering a presentation that was meant to inspire and also inform everybody working at that post office about a new system that was coming down the pike. There were some more details to it. It was going to be, she said, you'll travel to the post office and you'll do the presentation, and that will be your work day. So I got paid for a full work day for working 2 to 3 hours. And since most post offices, the carriers are in early in the morning, like between 7 and 9, that's what I was going to do. Travel to the post office, work between 7 and 9, and then I got to go home and get paid for a whole day. And I got to have the impact I was looking for. So another piece to think about is really using your imagination and going for what you really, really want. I ended up getting that job. I took that job and I asked her, Why me? I don't even know you. Like, why are you calling me?" And she said, "Well, we had one of the people on our team was at a training a few months ago, and you did a presentation, and he thought you did a great job, and he suggested you for this." So that experience let me know that really and truly that mindset we talk about, that energy really, really matters. I had been acting as if I was good at presentations, and I had been imagining work for myself where I could have a bigger impact. And there were other things, and I could also be home with my kids and get paid full time. It did not seem believable to me as I was thinking these things through. I didn't actually have a thought, this is like this is absolutely going to happen. But I had a belief. I had a belief that if I really wanted something and I felt passionate about it, I could make it happen. That's another piece of this coaching business, is having a belief in yourself and what you're capable of, and knowing that if you really want it and you're willing to put in the time, money, and effort for it, you can create it. And there's this universe piece, there's a spiritual piece, there's the, if you get into that higher vibration energy, things will come your way and you will know the steps to take. So, you know that I have a business building course and a business building program. And in my book, I have step-by-step process. I absolutely 100% believe in what I've created and how it can help you. And it's helped many, many coaches to be successful. But this mindset piece is also in my course and it's in my book. And I think sometimes it gets forgotten or stepped over when it comes to this part, like integrating it into how you run your business. Now I'm going to go to this other piece, this harvesting piece, because that's what I'm talking about. My mindset was, this is going to happen. I'm going to create this. I'm going to act as if it's going to happen until it does. And so I was open to the steps I needed to take, and I was open to when the moment came for harvesting, which was calling this woman back, which was jumping through all the hoops I needed to jump through to get the job. It also, just that little end piece of the story, that it was a part-time gig. I mean, it was only going to be for 3 or 4 months. It turned into years. I got a whole new job on this executive team. That's another story, how that came about. But everything evolved from that. All the whole rest of my career with the Postal Service, including having a coaching organization come in and coach me and my team. And I found coaching, which where I get to have a much bigger and better impact. But there's the harvest moment. So, wherever you are right now in building your coaching business, I'm going to layer these things in. I want you to play around with acting as if what you really want to have happen is going to happen. Don't get too attached to how it's going to look, when it's going to happen, the exact outcome, but just believing that the essence of what you really want, and maybe even better, is going to happen. And open yourself up to, what are the steps that you notice seem right to take? What is the action that you're inspired to take if you really have that belief system in place? And the harvest piece, it seems like, wow, that's going to be just the fun and easy part. And it is in some ways. I'm in a place right now today in my business where there's some harvesting beginning to happen. There's some things that some ships coming in for me that I put out, I've worked on, and now the responses come in. We'd like to talk to you about that, Kat. And I'm getting ready to do some things I've never done before in my business. That's the part I want you to focus on right now. So when those moments come, don't miss them and be ready for the boldness that it can often take to bring in the harvest. And I'm just reminded of this because as I'm recording this, we're wrapping up our 21-day challenge that we have 4 times a year at the Soul Driven Success Academy. Our next one is coming up in October. So stay tuned. That's when it's going to be around group coaching. But during the 21-day challenge, the people who are involved make a big push of activity. And one of the women in the group the other day on one of our training calls, she said, I have accomplished more in the 2 weeks in this 21-day challenge than I have in this whole year. And I totally believe that's true because there is something about having a certain amount of time. It's time limited and you get support and you're all in action. So part of harvest time is being ready to get into action in an intense way. Now, I know not long ago, I think it was on my last podcast, I talked about taking a break and downtime and retreats. And this is really super important so that you're ready for that moment. I hadn't even thought of this until this moment. I had just been on a vacation when I got that good news. So that you're ready for the moment when the harvest comes in. Because harvesting, when you're a fruit grower, it has to happen when the fruit is ripe. You can't wait 2 weeks. You can't wait 1 week. You have to be ready with people who are going to pick that fruit and harvest it and take it to market. And you have to have the marketplace ready. And you know, all the preparation has to be there when that moment comes for you to harvest. So let's look at what harvesting might mean for you in your coaching business. It might mean there's a contract that you've wanted. If you're an executive coach, you've been out there pitching yourself. It might be a presentation, that it may be a partnership that you've really been longing for. And now somebody has said yes, or let's have a conversation. It might be there's some private coaching clients that come your way that you need to have things ready to do some onboarding, to explain your services to them, to actually bring them on board to pay you as their coach. That's harvesting when you're ready to say, oh, this is what I wanted, and now it's happening. So you act as if it's going to happen. You think in that it's not just positive terms, it's a real solid belief in yourself and what you're capable of. And that's that acting as if. And then you really decide, here's exactly what I want. You might spend a little time imagining it. I love to do scripting where you're actually writing stories or telling your stories, telling other people about what it's like to have this in your life as if it's a reality now. Because in there, you can get the action pieces and then look at what is it you need to have in place so when harvest time comes, you're ready. And there's the external piece and there's the internal piece. It's just as important if in that moment when I received that message, hey, there's a thumbs up here if you're watching the video. I love that. In that moment, when I received the message, if I had not been internally ready, I would have doubted myself. I might not have even called the woman back. She's like, oh, whatever. I don't really know this woman. What's she talking about? Or there could have been some fear when she told me about the job and the things I needed to do to get it. That's another piece of harvesting. You don't ever really know. There's an unknown factor to it. So you will be out of your comfort zone, even if it's something you really, really want. And the action that's needed for harvest time can be like the fruit business where it's concentrated. This is a time where you need to get into action. You need to do it now. You need to put the pieces together and so that you can enjoy the actual harvest. There will be a resting time. So kind of know that there's natural resting times, but harvest time is not resting time. Harvest time is that time to get out there. And fall is that time of year is to really be in action, making connections with the people who you've been nurturing those relationships with this year, reaching out, personal touch, people that you want to say hello to and see what's up with them. Maybe they were interested in your services a while ago and it wasn't the right time for them. Think about your own individual harvest. So take a minute right now. I want you to imagine what you would like to harvest in your coaching business in the next 2 months. So we're thinking about, let's say by Halloween. Just imagine, what is it that you want to come to fruition, that you've been working on, that you've put time and money and effort towards? And then what would it feel like to act as if it's already happened? Like there's no more straining for it, or it's actually already happened. And what is it you need to believe in yourself to be able to get out of your comfort zone and go for it? Run that sprint to the finish line to make it happen. All right, that's my message for today. Please let me know. I love when I get your emails, or if you're in my community, you send me a private message after you've listened to this podcast. I'm happy to direct you to the book, where this whole piece is in the book, the story I just told, the acting as if, it's all in the book. I'm happy to give you some tips on how to bring in your harvest if you want to tell me something specific that you're working on. I love it when you tell me that sometimes there's a coincidence, synchronicity. You're hearing this message and it's at the exact right time because it is harvest time for you. I wish you all the best during this harvest time. And I look forward to talking to you next time when I bring it home. We're going to have our last podcast on harvest, on fall, on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye.